it's Lisa. Today I'm assembling a kit and we're going to be using it for the first of 3 layouts. I'm not typically a big kit person. I subscribed to a kit club a couple of years ago and I enjoyed getting some different things that I might normally have ordered. But I found very often that the colors just didn't go with my photos or didn't help me tell the story that I wanted to tell. But how this one got started is I had a few things that I had put together that were in one order. This Bow Bunny pad that I ordered because it had lavender and purples in it, which are very hard to find. And then I had some flowers that I bought on sale at the same time, and I went ahead and got the jewels that went with it, and I got one whole piece of 12 by 12 paper, figuring, you know, that was just the one I liked the best out of the collection, and I would match it up with some other things when I used it. I've had it for several months, and finally one day I had this photo that I had never been able to quite match to my papers, and I realized that the papers really go very well with light blue as well, the color shirt that I have on. So it's kind of feminine sort of papers. And then, as I was going through some other photos, I found 2 more that work beautifully with these papers, and they're all kind of girly pages, so I think these will work together if I pull some other things together with them into a kit, because when I was looking at just using this photo, I was thinking of using a lot of this stuff that I had pulled together. That's going to leave me though with a lot of paper and not much else to go with it. So it seemed like a good time to pull several things together and do several pages at once. So first thing, I've got only one piece of the designer paper. It's got pretty front and back that I'm going to have to either use it whole on one of the layouts or cut it up. I'm not quite sure. I went to my drawers and I found a few other whole sheets of paper and some large pieces and a few pieces of cardstock that coordinated, so I pulled those together for my kit. I also have some My Mind's Eye brads. It's obviously a lost and found. This is an older collection, but it has some colors in it that I think will go well. Some letter stickers, some small ones, and then some thickers. I don't have tons of things in purples. I have like that doesn't have very many letters left in it, but a few things there in the greens. A few label stickers, and then these were a freebie that came with an order, and I think some of the smaller ones might work in with this as well. I also felt like that trims would go nicely, so I had some great blue trim and a few others. So that's my kit, and we're going to get started with this photo. This was the sketch I created a long time ago to do this photo when I really thought I was going to use completely different papers, but the papers I had just didn't really work with it. So I've used them for other things, and I think this is designed to be like 6.5 inches. Since I'm going to be working with a 6 by 6 pad, this matting here is going to be a little bit smaller, and then I'll use some other papers here on the background. The idea behind it is to do a before and after. It was a makeover kind of thing that I did. It's been years and years since I had really had my makeup redone, and I was really pleased with what she did. You can't see the best part of it, I think, in these photos, but still, I know it's there, and that was what I wanted to capture. And the sketch already has some flowers on it, so the flowers in my kit will work out well. I just need to decide what I'm going to use on this layout and what I'm going to use for these other layouts, because, as I say, I don't have a lot of the 12 by 12 paper, I don't have a lot of big embellishments, so I want to make sure I allocate those to the other pages. You're beginning to see why I don't do a lot of things with kits. But I'm not going to divide everything out, but just get an idea of where some of the larger elements are going to go, and then I can know I have enough stuff for each of the pages. So these flowers, I think, are really important. Oh, they have little leaves on the back. See, I didn't even know. I hadn't opened the package. I didn't even know they had little leaves stuck to the back. I need one of them here, and it's probably going to be this large blue one, although that would go good with my other ones as well. So I might put 2 together on one of these other pages. But I really think I want to use the large blue one here. Let's see. Let's do background, or let's do the designer papers, and then we'll have a better idea. I'm doing a before and after, so I need 2 different backgrounds here and 2 different backgrounds over here. When I was thinking of using the entire group of papers on this one layout, I was going to take this and divide it and do half of it, like this half for the after side and this half for the before side. But now I'm not sure that I want to do that. I think I might do something else. Let's see what I've got here. Well, let's do this. Let's take the 6x6. There are 36 papers here, I think, and I think you get 3 of each one, so I've got a lot of the 6x6s. I don't have to be skimpy with those at all. That pretty pattern. This one, I feel sure it's going to go with this photo. I think it really goes with the story that we're telling here in this photo, at least the butterflies and stuff do, so I'm going to put a piece over there for that. This one, I think, is really good for this photo, because it has especially the after. Let's see if I have, there's something kind of plain for before. Oh, here's a good one for before. Yeah. Alright, so here's some good ones for before. Now, this photo would look great with some of these bolder prints. A green, and I think there's a purple. Oh, there was. Yeah, a true purple. So I think some of the bolder prints will go with that photo. Alright, so now I'm going to use these two for that part of the before and after, which means that I can go back to my original idea of doing the very large print in the background. And I don't have to divide it. I could just do one, just do the whole paper there. I could even, like, you know, cut out the middle so I could use that on some of the other layouts. The layouts are going to end up in different places. A couple of them are going to go in my scrapbook album, and then one of them is going to go to my stepdaughter. Now this paper could do part of the before if I wanted to save. I'm not as keen on this one on the background, so I might do that. I think I'll save this one, this whole sheet, for one or the other of these two. This is the only thing I have in the light blue, but I don't think I'm going to end up using that one. And of course I have cardstock. And I may end up doing some matting around this. Now that we have an idea here, we're going to use, oh, this paper's cut. This has been cut down on both sides. Well, I really like it. I might have to work on that. I may end up using some cardstock after all. Alright, so we'll figure it out. Now we have these two that we know we want to use together, and that's getting a little lost there. Maybe I need a smaller flower after all, because that blue-green is just getting lost. So I think this blue one's going to go over for one of the other pages, and I think I like this one. These leaves don't show up very much. I have to detach those leaves or something because they're not showing up very much. But anyway, I like that. Now, in my sketch, I have this, and I have something up here, and I was thinking about doing some stenciling with this, especially since I've got a plainer background here. I can add a little stencil there, and I could do a stencil design here. But I got to stencil over all those papers. We do that in my stencil class. We do one where we put some modeling paste across several different papers. It's really pretty. But in this case, it would have to come like really across me since it's such a close-up picture. So I don't think I like that idea. I have another idea. I'm going to turn to my silhouette and see what I've got that would work well. I may not, and I may do something besides, oh, I have a better idea.
I had these doilies out for another project and I didn't use them. I've had them quite a long time. They came from Hobby Lobby back in the fabric department. I think they're supposed to be like jar lid covers, and I bought them on clearance, and I just had never found a use for them. So I'm trying to find one that's the right size. It looks like it's going to be one of these smaller ones. This is great because I get to use something out of my stash that I've had for a while, and that will really add a little more to that flower. and I can still work some of the stenciling in. Now I am going to use some cardstock in the background because that one green paper is not full 12 by 12, so I need something to mat, and also those pieces in the middle being only 6 inches long, proportion wise I felt like I needed another layer and make the layer under the 6-inch pieces a little bit smaller than 12 inches anyway. So I'm looking for the titling next, and I want to do before and after, and I think after would really be the better word in these purple letters, but I just don't have the letters. But I do have 2 E's and a B, and so I can make before. It looks really good with one of the photos from one of those future pages, but I think I'm going to go ahead and use it here, and then I'll need to cut up something for the word after. So we're in these videos seeing a lot more process of my thought process as I'm going along. Now I just want to center my photo and the 2 papers underneath it, so I'm just seeing how much I want to cut them, how wide I want to cut them, and I decided on 4.5 inches wide. So I'm just looking at the stencils and seeing how they're going to be arranged. I will, I thought about maybe just using some white craft paint up at the top, but I think I'm going to use the metallic paint on both of them and let the flower be the heavier accent down there in the lower right hand corner. Now going back to the titling, just to make sure I know the position of everything before I put that stenciling on, I need the word after, and I looked at some plain letters there, and then I remembered I had these white and gray letters from Basic Gray, and those look pretty good. But I also had some just gray letters. In the end, I probably should have stuck with the white and gray, because what I do with I put the gray letters out, and you'll see in a little while that I have to do a little bit of work to them to get them to show up better. These are some basic gray letters. I actually bought these at a dollar store, and so I have quite a few packs of these larger sizes, and I haven't found the larger size to be as useful. But again, for a dollar, they've still been really nice, and especially something as simple as a light gray color. So we'll have before and after, and I've got the and down there at the bottom, and I could also put it up there with the word before rather than breaking up that purple part. So I've got my paper layers glued down, and I'm going to mark where my stencil is going to go so that I know where the corner of the photo is, and that way I can put the stencil, the middle of it, on the corner of the photo, and then I'll use some modeling paint, or not modeling paste, use some metallic craft paint. I'm just putting that over on a piece of acetate. I use some washi to hold my stencil down, and I'm applying this with a brush. I did this same technique, or used the metallic craft paint on another layout not too long ago, and I wanted a thicker application of it, so I used a palette knife. Either one will work, it just depends on how much of the medium that you want to apply. And craft paint's wonderful because it's very inexpensive, and the metallic just gives it a really beautiful finish. I think it goes with kind of feminine look here. And making sure that I'm getting it all covered, or as much of it covered as needed. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so you can see it just a little bit better. And we'll do the same thing down here on the bottom. In the Scrapbooking with Stencils class, we use lots of different kinds of mediums, and I also give you substitutions. So if you don't have modeling paste, you can use craft paint, or just try out some different things. But if you have a lot of these things in your stash, stencils are a wonderful way to use some supplies that maybe haven't gotten as much use in the past. Okay, we're going to take this up, and I'll show you some close-ups of it wet and then dry. And so here it is all dried. It's going to make a nice foundation for our photo. And then I can go ahead and start putting all these layers together. Just making sure that I know where I want everything. I decided the ampersand looked better up there next to the word before to keep all that purple together. And these are not very sticky thickers, so they're going to need some extra adhesive. But after bothers me a little bit. It's just not showing up there on the bottom. So at first I thought I'd add some white craft paint to it, but then I realized that to go with the shine, it might be better to do something else. So I'm going to do a little bit different technique here in a moment. Getting some of my ribbons out, figuring out which ones I like these little bit more delicate ones. And I looked through my washies, but I didn't have any washies that went with this particular paper. So I'm going to take after, and I decided not to use the craft paint, but to use some embossing powders. So I'm going to dip each letter into first some white embossing powder to lighten the color up a little bit. That's why I said I probably should have stuck with the white letters to begin with. But these are just a light gray. It's almost like having a ratchet board. I can kind of do whatever I want to with them. So I added a little bit of white, and then I added some iridescent ice, which is an embossing powder from Stampin' Up. It gives it a very crystally kind of look. They sell similar embossing powders at Michael's and other craft stores. So I do the white, and that first one kind of stuck to my embossing pad, so I just go ahead and let them all dry, and then come back and add the last layer of iridescent ice. And this will give them a nice glitter. And then we'll glue on our trims. Got my letters in place. Sometimes I wrap trims to the back, but in this case that one really just had to be trimmed off, so I just ended up trimming both of them off on the edge of the paper. I've got my journaling. I did split the journaling because I had more than I really felt like I wanted to put down at the bottom of the page, so I kind of split it in the before and after theme as well. And the idea here is to have the after side to be a little bit bolder, a little more color, and all to go with the whole makeover kind of look. I've got a little I've got some rhinestones I'm going to put on here, and I put a label from October Afternoon that I will use for the date. So I'm putting the green rhinestones on the left-hand page and adding some more of that purple color over on the right-hand page down at the bottom, and that'll bring some of that color from the title down.
So we have our sketch with the two photos, the big flower. I just moved the "and" up, and I did the journaling in two different places. I did some stencil work in the background. I still need to straighten that date sticker a little bit. Okay. And I did a little bit of extra on these letters with the Versamark and a couple of embossing powders to give it a little bit of a glittery finish, and that's our page. Thanks so much for joining me. I do have a new class called Scrapbooking with Stencils that does a lot more with stencils and shows different ways to accent your pages or do entire backgrounds, lots of different things with them. So be sure and check that out. It's over on my blog. And thank you again for joining me today. I always love thumbs up if you like the videos. I think that helps YouTube advance my channel, and I love to answer your questions and read the comments. It's very motivating. Thank you.